Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Leasing Highway podcast, a podcast where we get to hear some great stories, ideas, and opinions of exceptional leaders throughout the multifamily space. I'm Ian.
And I'm Karen. And today we are honored, and I'm so excited to introduce Anecia Peterson, Area Director with UDR. And I'm going to get teary. I've known Anecia for over 20 years. And we met on the leasing floor going way back. And my heart's just fluttering. It's just so special, Anecia, to think about your journey through these years, and excited to talk to you about it today. But first, there's a now, that's when Anecia said we look like babies.
I think I was 12 in that picture.
No, we look the same. But I'll let you share with everybody your background and what that journey's been for you within this industry, because you sure have a special one.
Yeah, well, Ian said exceptional leader, so I don't know if I should log off right now. But, I'll go ahead and take the opportunity to hang out with you guys. It was really funny just, kind of thinking back when I started and writing it down. I started leasing apartments in June of 1996. So it was, I know that there's no possible way that I could be in the industry for 25 years. It was, it's similar to a lot of people's stories where they say they just kind of fell into it, or somebody lured them into the industry. And my mom was a regional manager in property management, and she said, "Hey, you should make some money before you start college. Why don't you come lease some apartments?" And that was the beginning and the end of, of my professional life. So I absolutely loved leasing. Never finished college. There's part of me that regrets that and part of me that doesn't, because this industry has provided such an amazing educational opportunity for me to grow without a traditional degree. And just moved through the ranks with pretty much 4 or 5 main companies for the last 25 years, and have done multiple roles. Not always traditional, I was never an assistant manager, never took that particular path because I wasn't always the most detailed or organized. So, kind of went like this up through my career. But yeah, it's been a long road.
Well, when you say the non-traditional path, even not having the degree or skipping assistant manager, that is what's so exciting about this industry, right? And it does show provide people such opportunities. And I love that you didn't go into assistant manager role, because we often talk about some of the best leasing agents that are stuck then in the back office, right, and have to be Angry Annie, right? And they shine better out front on the front stage. But
yeah. So it's been it wasn't something that I set off to do necessarily, but it's been the most beautiful blend between people and leadership and financials and strategy, because I don't want to spend my whole life behind a computer looking at a spreadsheet. But numbers are interesting because they often tell a story, or they show you problems that you might not see. But really, at the end of the day, my passion is people. And I'm not sharing anything that I haven't said before, but real estate is not my gig. I know some people that love buildings and love real estate, and they go look at open houses on the weekends, and that is their passion, and that is amazing. But for me, it's always been the people side of it. And so that's, being able to give back to the residents or help grow my team or see people succeed. That's always been the thing that's really kind of, helped move me to that next level.
Yeah. I think it's amazing too how this industry, while it's so niche in a way, and we all know each other. It's just amazing that there's really so many different areas of opportunity and areas where you've had a ton of different positions over the years and gained so much knowledge with amazing companies, and yet you have a very unique perspective and a viewpoint different than others that really has made you that exceptional leader. And I think on that note, I think with having that experience at, with so many different companies in these different roles, I'm curious, what are some of those takeaways that you've kept from each of your different companies and roles?
That's a good question. I've learned every company's been so different. And so what's interesting is that although we're all in the same industry, it's like a relationship. Everybody has a different way of approaching it and kind of getting to that result, or even having a different end result that is most important to them, whether it's financial performance or, customer service metrics or the best asset quality. Everybody kind of comes at it a little differently. The things that I've learned throughout my career, one is don't ever work for a company that your mom is the boss. I started my career by doing that, and very quickly realized that no matter how good or how bad I was, it would always be a reflection of her. And so although my mom is in this industry for years and now the president of another company, she and I only worked together for a very short period of time. So that's my first takeaway. And then in terms of the other companies I've worked for, I would say that the three companies that were really most impactful to me was JPI, which was like a merchant builder and developer of very high-end communities. Beautiful, back in the 90s and the 2000s, it was something that you'd never seen before. One of the lease ups I did, we had an attached model to the clubhouse. You didn't even have to go out to tour, and theater rooms. And so working for that company, I really learned about excellence in presentation and attention to detail, and that our residents, even if they never use the amenity spaces, they want to feel like that's part of their home, and they're proud and excited to live at a community like that. And so not to fall down on the on what you've sold them and what you've promised them. So I think that's really where I learned that part of it. Equity Residential was an amazing experience. They are very much a, kind of a top-down company where things are very well executed and organized before they're rolled out to the field. And so I learned systems, I learned strategies, I learned how to work within a box, because I'm not usually very good about that. And I learned how to be accountable with equity. That was a really, really good experience in my growth. And then the last almost 9 years I've been with UDR, and it is as exceptional in an entirely different way. They are a complete opposite of equity in terms of how they approach business, very bottom up. It's very much here's the goal, and you figure out how you're going to get there in the best way possible. And so I really learned how to run my own business with UDR and be extremely creative, and there's no option to not perform. And so if you have a certain result that you have to get to, the creativity and innovation that comes from being able to really be look outside of the box and how can we, meet our revenue goals, that's been so empowering and challenging and exciting. So there's, I've learned really different things from these different companies, and they're all excellent in their own right, and they all produce amazing results in their own right. It's just, a different strategy or philosophy on how to get there.
Yeah, those are all exceptional companies. I mean, the and what you pulled from them too. I love how you articulated that, and would hope that everybody's able to pull that from their different companies that they get to work with and bring it as part of their leadership going forward. the next question that I have to ask you, I know that we're headed to a commercial soon. And so I'm going to ask the question, and then I want you to marinate on it a little bit and while we're on the commercial. But, you said the word results a few times with those companies. Well, in our industry, results start on the leasing floor. And I know you're passionate about the leasing experience itself. What I'm curious about is over your evolution in the industry, how have your ideas changed or evolved with how to deliver the greatest leasing experience for our team members? So let that roll around in your mind, and we'll take a quick commercial break, and then we'll come back and hear your insights.
Sounds good.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Welcome to the Get Focused podcast, a show with stimulating conversation about optimizing our human potential for those who think outside of the box. You'll hear thought-provoking conversation designed to help you blow past your obstacles and create strength and motivation in everything you do. Now, it's time to start thinking outside of the box. It's time to get focused.
Well, welcome back. And Anecia, I asked this question too because I'm interested in it, especially having started on you and I meeting and starting on the leasing floor together. And my own opinions have changed about how you can deliver an exceptional leasing experience. So talk to us about how your opinions have changed and evolved.
It's really good timing for this question because it's been something that I've really been digging into. I would say over the past 18 months, and then really intensely with all of we call it platform changes with UDR, and really looking at our industry and questioning ourselves. Why are we doing it this way? Can we deliver a better experience? How can we best utilize our people? And maybe it's not, taking that 45 minutes to walk them through the property. So what I will say is that, when I started, this is going to date me so much, but we had these handwritten guest cards, right? Like you would write down what they were looking for. And when
some people still use those.
Well, if you're looking for an upgrade in your career, give me a call. And we had like the little recipe box. And so you take that and you'd put it in tomorrow's date to follow up. Yep. And then you'd put it 7 days out and then 30 days out. Not that I ever really did my follow-up that well, but that's a whole other conversation about sales and leasing. I learned a lot from you actually when you and I worked together for that period of time, and understanding that leasing is not about me and about necessarily the relationship that I'm building with the customer, but about removing barriers and making sure that they are able to come in whatever way works best for them and find a home. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're providing, right? And can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And home is so important, right? Mm-hmm. Like we've learned that in the last, year in the pandemic. Yeah. Like home is such an important thing that we're providing. And so, 25 years ago, when somebody walked into our office, they knew nothing about the building, right? Mm-hmm. We were their guide. We had to be there to find those, ask those qualifying questions. What were they looking for? And now, I would say my prospects that are coming into my buildings probably know the buildings better than I do. They've been on the internet. They've done their research. They probably have picked out, the 2 homes that they think are going to work for them. And they're really there just to verify and validate that home is really going to be where they want to live. They likely know about the neighborhood in some aspects, and they also know that about all of our competitors as well. So I would say the biggest change for me that I've understood recently in the leasing experience is really taking care of our virtual assets. That's something that I talk to my teams about all the time now. It used to start that we would talk about walking our tour path, and that was like, what does your entry sign look like? And it's not just your model home, it's the whole tour path. And now it's like, what do you look like online? What do your reviews look like? What are your pictures? Are your Craigslist ads boring? Are they saying the same thing over and over again? What's the engagement? What's not just how does it look, but what's the interactive quality? Are you making it easy for them to find the information that they're looking for? So that's been a big, change, I would say, in the last few years in terms of taking our energy and putting it, starting in that process. And then something that UDR has done is we've moved really 100% to self-guided tours. And I know a lot of your other guests have talked about self-guided tours and maybe offering it as an option, but still having that guided experience. It's not that the guided experience isn't still beneficial. We just as a company decided that we only have so many resources and we really want to allocate them into the places where we feel like we can give the best service, which is really to our residents, and then allow our prospects to utilize technology or the knowledge that they already have, or repeatable processes that we don't necessarily have to be the one there to give them that information. And so we've spent a lot of time talking about how do you overcome an objection before it's an objection, right? So if you have that home that's dark, put the light in the corner before they even tour it. Don't tell them, hey, when you move in, you can put a light in that corner. Or if you have a small bedroom, is there some way that you can indicate that a bed would actually fit in there? So you don't have to be in there to tell them that. So how can we overcome those objections? And then the thing that I thought about when we were making this transition was, what is it that we're losing by not having that exceptional leasing consultant with them, right? It's not, here's a walk-in closet, you can see that. It's not, here's the stainless steel appliances, they can see that. It's, what's the feel and culture of the building? When is that farmer's market? What does that feel like? What are the events that we have? What are the things that set our building apart from all the other, boxes that our competitors are also renting? And so we really put a lot of time and effort into, we used to call them silent closers, those little cards in the homes. But we really took that, and instead of focusing on the apartment itself, we really focused on the neighborhood. And so we might have like a QR code that they can scan and it'll take them to the website for the local farmers market. Or, maybe in the closet, we'll have some mountain bikes and we'll have something about the trails that are in the area that they might not know about. Or, maybe some wine glasses and a bottle of wine and a link to all of our community-based events that we have. So utilizing those pieces of technology to replicate what we might be missing without that guided experience, I would say that's been the biggest change. And then what it allows our team to do is really spend that time on the front end, making sure that we're sending them to the right home, and then time on the back end, answering those questions. We also have text lines available during all of our tours. So we reach out, our centralized sales team reaches out and engages with them. Hey, did you like that home? Oh, that didn't work for you. I have a different one available. So I think that what it was like when I was on site is so different than what it is now. And I have to constantly challenge myself to realize that I don't know what it's like to lease. in 2021. And I can't think that it's the same for my team or the prospects, and constantly challenging myself to take a step back, look at it through their lenses. I just recently toured about 10 properties as a, like a fake email account and everything of our competitors and our teams, because I just wanted to see what kind of experience are we actually giving, our potential residents? Are we making it easy for them to find a home?
They're watching you right now going, oh, I still thought she was a lease.
I think one of the things that you said there too was just like really recognizing that it's now more than ever not one dimensional, and that people aren't coming in and touring that exact same way, and that online presence and those different platforms are all a different way of interacting with your prospects, and we have to be much more aware of that, and that it's not kind of one size fits all. You guys, there's different ways to make a great impression amongst prospects and to get them engaged, and of course, you yourself and UDR are both always leaders at doing that, and just not following the traditional path, but really creating new ways to innovate in the industry. So,
well, the pandemic definitely helped. Like we were perfectly suited to go into this without a huge, operational change to our business, because we had already implemented a lot of these. But it also kind of helped getting some other parts of our industry doing it as well. So we weren't these weird people that were like lazy, not wanting to tour you around. And now people love it, because it's not just our industry. Like, people want to be self-serve to a certain point, right? They want to be able to gather as much information as they can, and then they just want you there to be able to answer the questions or fill in the gaps when they need it. So you have to deliver on both sides. If you just deliver on one, but you're not there to answer questions when they need it, they're going to move on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to shift a little bit here and talk about who are some of those leaders and guiding forces, that really helped you throughout your career and that you really looked up to. And I think we're going to take a quick commercial break, but think about this one that time, and we'll hit it right when we come back.
Sounds good.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button, and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Welcome back, everyone. So, Anecia, who have been some of those guiding forces for you in the industry?
Well, I feel like every person that I've worked with or for has helped guide me, whether it was a positive experience or maybe a not positive experience, because I might have learned, I maybe don't want to approach things that way when I'm in that position. So I think that there's always something to be learned, no matter who you're working with. But I am definitely drawn to the women in my life that have really kind of paved the path in property management. I think that definitely my mom, she similar story. She grew up on a ranch and one of 7 kids and didn't have a college education, and now she's the president of a company that has something like 52,000 units and military and student, and I'm so proud of what she's done with her career. And so seeing and emulating, and knowing that at the end of the day, it's the same thing for her. It's her people, and that is her passion, and that is her way of giving back to the world, is by she does her best to create the best company that she can for people to, provide for their families and enjoy their life. I've learned a ton from Karen. I love watching her and building her business and being this in the industry, but not necessarily on the property management side of it, on the, the leasing and the creative and the sales side of it. So that's been fun. And then one of my best friends, her name is Allison Brown. I worked with her with equity. She is the hardest worker, the most passionate, and the most fearless person that I've ever worked for, and challenged me to be better in so many ways. Taught me that it's okay to ruffle feathers to get to where you want to go. It's okay. You don't always have to be the most, the yes person. And then definitely I would say the most influential person is, her name is Susie Miller. She's a VP with UDR. I have actually worked for her in some capacity for almost 20 years. So
wow.
Yeah, so she hired me at JPI when I was a leasing consultant, and she was a property manager. And then when they sold all their buildings, she went to work in the condo industry, called me up a little bit later, said, hey, come sell condos. And that industry went bunk. I went to equity and she went to UDR. And, I was making a move for a family decision. And she called and said, come work for UDR. And I said, you do who? Like, what is this company? And so it's an interesting experience to work with somebody for so long, to see them progress in their career and in their leadership style. And then in turn, have that consistent mentorship. And she's a rock. She is, challenges me to be better than I think I can, and to try new things. I think that I'm innovative, but she pushes me to try it a new way and not to be in status quo. And so I've had some amazing people in my life to help me in my career that I can emulate, and then also say, well, I don't have to be them, right? Yep. I can learn from them, but then still be me and apply it in a different way.
I think that's such a good point, to be who you are. And then too, I can only hope that people out there get to have an experience like you've had with what you described. That is so special and so awesome. And for you to see that too is terrific. On that same topic, Anecia, when you think about leadership, what are some of the principles of great leaders and leadership that you've adopted and used? Because you are an exceptional leader. I know you said you could hang up at the first of it. No, you, what would you share with everybody, or some of those principles?
So leadership to me is probably the most passionate thing the thing that I'm most passionate about. At the end of the day, there is not a single result that we achieve that is not through people. Even if it's technology, there is somebody building the technology. There's somebody determining how the user is going to interface with it. And so I think understanding that it is only through people that we achieve results is the most important thing. And the way that I view leadership is that everyone has a job, and it is to make somebody else's life easier. So our on-site team's job is to make our residents and our vendors' life easier. How can they remove barriers? How can they create home? How can they support their teams better? My job is to remove barriers and make it easier for my teams to be successful and to create the results. And then my boss's job is to make it easier for me to do my job. So I think so often we look up, right, when we're thinking about leadership, and really what we should be doing is looking down or looking to the side and asking ourselves, how can I make other people more successful? if you can make somebody else more successful, and even if it's your client or your resident, right?
Yep.
Then that is going to come back so much bigger in your life. And there is nothing exceptional about my leadership, I think, other than the fact that the only reason why I'm here is because I work with the most unbelievable team members, the most unbelievable companies, and I really try my best at the end of the day to do what I can to be the best that I can for them.
So well said.
So I know we're running low on time here, so I want to get this last question here into you, which is on a similar note, but what advice would you give to someone just starting out in the industry?
Run! You will never get out. I've tried many times. No, I love my job. And I think you guys talked about it before, which is there's so many different things you can do in this industry. You can be an analyst. You can be an asset manager. Don't talk to me about boilers. I don't know how they work. I don't need to know how they work. There's somebody else out there that understands that knows what they're doing. So I think what I would say is be who you are and utilize your skill sets. Take the time and effort to improve what you're good at, rather than always trying to overcome what is not your strength. I'm not saying you don't. I still had to learn to put a file together to get my commissions paid, but at the end of the day, that wasn't my skill set. Surround yourself by people that have different skill sets, so that way you become a whole team, and never hesitate to work outside of your role. Honestly, I hate job descriptions. At the end of the day, I feel like you need to do what you need to do to run the business. Like, why do I need to put it down on a piece of paper? So work outside of your job description, help other people be successful in their role, and you'll be successful no matter what you do. So that would be my advice, other than run.
Well, there were a number of questions that we had that we just didn't get to.
Because I talk so much. I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh, you were so great. And I loved what you shared. I know Ian did too. It's awesome. And maybe we'll just have to have an Anecia part 2. So thank you.
I'll come on and I'll interview you guys. I want to know what you guys think about these questions. Yes.
And our next guest, I don't want to forget, next week will be Joe Melton. And we are so excited to welcome Joe, Vice President of Marketing with Morgan. So that's next week. And again, thank you, Anecia. Thank you. You rock.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you soon. Virtual hugs to you.
Bye.
Bye.